Oh, and also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you see those slides that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And are they okay?
Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this live stream. And all of my YouTube brethren were very busy covering the entire investor meeting as they should. And me, I was just, I don't know, like I was just had such a busy day that I didn't really even, like, if I'm a good YouTuber, I should have been, covering this more, but I didn't. And so this is what we're doing. we're just going to talk about it right now, and I'm really excited to do so. And Stanford, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. And
well, you're welcome. Thanks for the invite. This is fun. It'd be fun to talk with you about this.
Because I mean, honestly, because they have these investor calls all the time, and so I knew that they would be making some announcements, and that wasn't surprising, but I didn't think it was going to be this.
Oh my goodness! I mean, it was out of control. They just kept coming with one big announcement after another. Really.
Was this what you were anticipating, or was this a surprise?
Well, some of both, because I had read some articles earlier in the week, from pretty reputable sources. Like the Washington Post had one. I think there was one in the New York Times. Anyway, saying that there were probably going to be some pretty big, movie announcements for this. But then also some speculation, just like wondering, are they going to follow what Warner Brothers just announced, or what was going to happen with their theatrical release window and all and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I just did not expect just the sheer. I thought maybe they'll talk about what's coming up in the next 12 months. Well, holy cow! You got three years worth of stuff.
I was expecting Black Widow. I was expecting the show announcements, things like that. But I was not expecting this whole day. I foolishly planned a patron watch along for this evening that I had to, and I was privileged to be a part of, and it was really fun. But if I'd known that this was going to be this epic day, I probably would have picked a different day. But it was pretty amazing. And so we're going to try to cover as much as we can, but put in the comments section in the chat room what you want to talk about. We can make sure to talk about that as well. They covered more than we can cover in this live stream. But we have Christensen is here, and he says, as a huge Pixar fan, I absolutely lost my mind when they announced the new movie Lightyear. We'll talk more about that, but did that blow your mind?
It didn't blow my mind, but I thought it sounded like a lot of fun. I'm not a huge fan of like made up backstory. But still, I mean, it's Pixar. It's in good hands. Pete Docter, I thought, described it in such an appealing way.
Yeah,
they got Chris Evans to voice, this particular iteration of, I guess, the human Buzz Lightyear. And I don't know, that sounds fun. Sounds fun to me. What did you think of it?
Well, I mean, I was just surprised that they wouldn't have Tim Allen. And I mean, you're right. It's a human version of this character that then they make into a doll, and so Tim Allen is the doll version. But I don't know. I think that might be a little jarring at first.
Sure.
To have, but I'm excited. I mean, I've loved everything the Toy Story has ever done. So
interesting idea for like a Toy Story prequel. Yeah,
absolutely. All right. Well, so they started out. They talked about the Star service that's going to be international. That's going to bring in their R-rated content into their Hulu content, their things into Disney Plus, but it's still going to be separated here in the States. And then they had Hulu, and Hulu was next, and they had their the big announcement about the Kardashians, which You're excited.
You know, it's like saying that. Not an appealing announcement if you're me, but that's, I'm sure others.
No.
I know others are very devoted to them.
Just kidding. Yeah, they had The Handmaid's Tale, Little Fires Everywhere, Only Murders in the Building. That sounded kind of interesting to me.
I thought it sounded interesting. And hello, Steve Martin and Martin Short, you know.
Yeah.
And then with
Selena
Selena
Gomez.
Gomez too. I mean, interesting. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I that could be a good one to watch. I haven't had a chance to watch Little Fires Everywhere, but I've heard good things. I know they read it from my book club.
I know that. What did you think of the book? I've never read it.
I was actually gone that month, but I think they liked it.
And I mean, I think it's been a very popular, or it was a very popular series on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least it had a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then FX had theirs next, and they had the whole ESPN, but I don't follow sports, so
you know, I mean, and I do somewhat, and that was interesting to me, and I frankly I was surprised about the numbers. I mean, that's what we're talking about, but anyway, interesting stuff going on with ESPN Plus. Good for them.
Oh yeah, did any of the shows excite you that you're going to watch in the Peyton? I
don't have ESPN Plus. And I don't know if it was enough to like make me push to pay for a subscription, but I still thought that it seemed to me that they were creating some compelling content, particularly for sports fans. You know, I mean, for their specific audience. So the Peyton Manning stuff looked interesting. Anyway,
now you're into baseball. You do
baseball is my favorite.
Yeah. Okay.
And so they didn't talk a lot about baseball content, and which I don't fault them for, but if they had some really cool baseball programming, that might push me over the edge a little bit.
Yeah, it was like Dodgers exclusive, right? That's your team, right?
That's my team. You're right. You know me.
And then they had FX.
Yeah.
And they announced 4 more seasons of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is amazing.
It's amazing. And that just made me smile. You know? Yeah.
They're on season 15 as we're already. And I mean, that's just incredible for any cast, not only to maintain their quality for so long, but then also to maintain their cast for that long. And now they got another 4 years, and that show is hilarious. It
is. It's hilarious. I quite like that show.
I mean, there's one of my favorite things I've ever seen. Is the Charlie Day character. He starts visiting this old man in the nursing home, and he was like, he's doing such a great deed or whatever. And he's like, and he goes to help him. He wants to get this uniform or something out of the closet, and it's home. So he goes. He gets it, and it's a Nazi uniform. I just like the look of his face when he's like, "Oh!"
Charlie Day. I mean, all of them are hilarious, but Charlie, I don't know. He's particular. I mean, they're all funny, but anyway, he's hilarious.
That show is really funny, and so I'm very happy for them. I think that's going to be great. And then also the other interesting announcement is that they are having an Alien TV show. A lot of people thought they were going to announce an Alien movie, maybe a sequel to Covenant. Covenant wasn't that successful. But to allow Ridley Scott to finish his series, and now they have this TV show that they're going to be doing. And it's going to be led by Noah Hawley, and he's done Fargo and The Legion, and It says here that the show will be set not too far in the future and take place on Earth. So it will not be a sequel to Covenant then.
Yeah.
So,
which I'm okay with.
Really. I never saw it because I heard it was terrible.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Honestly, I think this is really appealing. You know, I good for them. This looks like a really, you know, they're going to do a high quality job, and it could be just some very appealing programming for sure.
Yeah, it definitely could be interesting.
I thought the Shogun series looked interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people will probably be interested in a lot of people will probably be interested in the Reservoir Dogs series as well.
Yes,
because there's a lot of Quentin Tarantino
fans. Yeah,
and so that will be interesting how that plays out. And so then we had, so then we had the Lucasfilm presentation.
And holy cow.
Was crazy.
It was crazy. I know, right? I mean, Rachel.
I put on Twitter that, like, because to me at least, Disney Star Wars has been pretty disappointing, and yet they still manage in their trailers and in their publicity to always get me kind of hyped up. And I'm like, why do I allow you to do this to me every time? I don't know.
Exactly. Although, you know, I mean, so far with The Mandalorian, have you been watching The Mandalorian? I think it's terrific.
I'm way behind because of Christmas movies.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, because I mean, it came out right, you know, right in the middle of your busy season. Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of the Frog Lady.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the Frog Lady was
weird.
Was not great.
Because here's the thing, is that the creatures in Star Wars have always, for the most part, been aliens. They've never been like mutated versions of our own animals. Right? So I just thought it was a little weird. I'm like, this is such a strange character. And the whole thing with Baby Yoda eating the eggs and stuff, I just thought it was such a strange plot. And that's the last one I watched episode 3.
And that's been the least interesting episode of the season. Otherwise, I think it's been really solid.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I'm excited to see the rest of it.
Yeah, hopefully you get a chance to see it, and hopefully I'm not overselling it.
No, I don't think. I think I enjoyed season 1. And I loved Star Wars Rebels. So really, the television side of Star Wars has not been that disappointing.
Yeah, it's been a lot better than the movies for sure.
And then they had Clone Wars season 7. They had which
was good. I watched pretty much every episode of season 7 and was really wowed by it. Yeah.
And so we have, and some of the news was stuff that they had previously, I mean, you have to take all this with a grain of salt because some of this they had previously announced at D23.
At D23, yeah.
And we still haven't gotten it, so
yeah.
What are you gonna do?
They gave some updates on, like Kathleen Kennedy was giving some updates on the schedule, right? Like when they're gonna start filming and stuff.
Yeah, and there were a couple things that were announced at D23 that we heard nothing about, which was interesting. Like, I was a little surprised nothing on High School Musical, the series, because I think they have a Christmas special, or maybe I missed it. I was a little bit in and out. Did they have anything about it?
Not that I was pretty much able to watch most of the presentation. I don't think they talked about it. Yeah. They also didn't talk about that Monsters at Work series.
Right. Yeah, that. And also nothing Lizzie McGuire. So I guess that is completely... I mean, I heard it was like maybe happening again, but sounds
or that they were going to put it on Hulu. Yeah,
I don't think that's dead. But yeah, they talked. If we got a sizzle reel from the Mandalorian season 2, and then they announced the Rangers of the New Republic. What did you think about this?
Well, I thought it was really cool. You know, so it's the combo of Rangers of the New Republic and the Ahsoka Tano series, which are going to be both spin-offs of The Mandalorian and they're gonna like have some kind of a what do they call it, Rachel? Like there's a like I don't know if it's a crossover episode or like a crossover event or something with those two series, and then Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are going to be working on those two as well. So I thought they just sounded totally cool, even though they didn't really give us many details other than just what we just said about, you know, that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing it, and then their spinoffs. I just kept thinking of all the possibilities because there's been a lot of characters that we've met in The Mandalorian that could very easily go be part of this Rangers group. And then, of course, Ahsoka Tano. I mean, spoiler alert, you probably already saw this, that she was in an episode a couple weeks ago. And so, anyway.
And awesome. I love her. I think she's great. And she has such an interesting backstory. Mm-hmm. So to get to, and I know that Dave Filoni has a big passion for the character.
Yes.
Loves the character.
And I really liked Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I thought she did a fine job. So I don't know if that's necessarily the consensus among all the fans, but anyway.
Yeah, were you surprised at all that they went New Republic and not Old Republic? Because there was some talk that they were going to do an Old Republic show with the Game of Thrones people, then that got tabled, and so I don't know if they're ever going to do an Old Republic show.
Yeah, that wasn't even on my radar because when they said a spinoff of The Mandalorian, that's just where my brain went.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I mean, I wondered about that. They didn't talk about any kind of Old Republic show other than there's one coming up which we'll talk about, which sounds like it is.
Yeah, so then they have the Cassian Andor show.
Which was a D23, right? So they gave some detail. And they had kind of a sizzle reel for that, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Rogue One, but I really liked the novel that was before.
What do you think of the character of is it Cassian Andor? Am I saying him right?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like he wasn't used very well in Rogue One. The few minutes at the very beginning that we got showed some personality, but I don't think we really got a whole bunch. But again, I really enjoyed Catalyst, the novel that happens before Rogue One, and so I'm hoping that we'll get kind of some of that flavor with Jyn and with. I mean, it'll be. I don't know if she won't be in the movie, I guess, or the show, but that get some of that flavor that we got in the novel, than the movie. I mean, do you think we'll see K2SO?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I'm surprised they didn't mention, unless they've changed their mind. But I thought that Alan Tudyk had already signed on.
Oh, okay.
But they, that Kathleen didn't say anything about that in the presentation. So maybe it's changed, but who knows?
This will take place. It's going to have Stellan Skarsgård and Fiona Shaw in this one, and then they talked about the Obi-Wan series, which was going to shoot, and then it stopped shooting, and it's been back and forth.
Well, and I think it's a victim of COVID. But I could be wrong, but I think that's what delayed it.
Was it? I was thinking
I could be wrong, Rachel.
Yeah. I'm not sure on that one, but they make the big announcement that Hayden Christensen is going to be back as Darth Vader.
They had some creative issues with it, didn't they? Didn't they have like a script thing or something?
Yeah, I thought they were.
You're right. My bad.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard to keep track. There's so many of those kind of things with Disney Plus, with Lucasfilm. So this is going to take place 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. And so he will be full on Darth Vader. So I assume we won't even see his face, right?
That's what I'm guessing. We're not going to see his face unless they do some kind of a shot with the mask off and with all the, all the machinery.
I hope not.
I
wouldn't like that. And I mean, it's fine. I mean, the thing is he's terrible in those prequels. It doesn't change anything just because the sequel movies were bad. Does not mean that Hayden Christensen was better in the the prequels. But he had a director who didn't like working with actors. So it's the same thing with Jake Lloyd. What are you going to do? You're going to fault a little kid for not figuring out how to be in a major blockbuster all by himself? You know, he's with a director who openly states that he doesn't like working with actors.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and the script, and he can't write the script. So what's he supposed to do?
Yeah.
So I think that people want, you know, a little bit of redemption for him with Star Wars, because most of the stuff that was bad, even though his performance was bad, even if he had been good, it still wouldn't have mattered. It just wasn't a good script. So, yeah.
Fingers crossed that Obi-Wan. And they were using some other kind of terminology for this, like it's an event series, which my guess means it's like 4 to 6 episodes. You know, it's not, and it's and with not really a intention or hope of it going beyond, you know, like a single season. But still,
yeah,
I you know, I'm excited just because I love the characters, the character of Obi-Wan so much. And Deborah Chin is directing it, and you know she directed, I thought, some of the best episodes of season 1 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I think if they got their script issues or whatever things that were causing, you know, the delay under control, let's hope it's going to be good.
Yeah, and I mean, I like Obi-Wan, and I'm interested. But we have gotten a lot of Obi-Wan's story. He was in the Clone Wars, and he was in the prequels, and in the original, and a little bit in Rebels.
A little bit, yeah.
And so
wasn't he a little bit in Rebels, or am I getting it confused with Clone Wars?
I think he was a little bit. I think he had a couple episodes.
Yeah.
In Rebels. Rebels was mostly about the new characters, which is what I liked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it does say in Revenge of the Sith that, so this is after Revenge of the Sith. That's right. Yeah, this is after. Never mind. Because he says, "Oh, I haven't seen you" in Revenge of the Sith. But anyway, and then we find out that we got a new kind of announcement about the Taika Waititi Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
We've heard about that. I don't remember if it was announced at D23.
I don't think it was. I think it was announced independently of D23. But
yeah,
happy news for me, at least. I thought that seemed like a cool choice.
And then huge news. They have Patty Jenkins coming to direct Rogue Squadron, and I will be really mad if Kathleen Kennedy messes this up, because she has not had a good track record with announcing directors and then them not working out, because like you said, the Game of Thrones guys, Ryan Johnson going through his trilogy, Josh Trank, Lord Miller. I mean, there've been a lot. Colin Trevorrow. And so I don't want this to be to turn out to be another one to add to the list.
Fingers crossed. Patty Jenkins, did you see that cool video she put on Twitter today?
So exciting, and she's picky. She doesn't take just any old project.
Yeah, let's hope it's going to be good.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And of course, Taika Waititi is the best. So there we go.
Nothing about the supposed Ryan Johnson trilogy.
Nothing.
And so it sounds like the next Star Wars theatrical film we're going to get is Rogue Squadron in December of 2023. Does that sound
I think
right?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, if I was Ryan Johnson, I wouldn't want to do it. Make another Knives Out. That's what people like. People loved it. Why make something that people? Why go through that again? I have no idea why
you go through it, and then I just the fans, I think, are probably done with it too. So
yeah, it would make no sense to me, but he's still on Twitter after all these years. You got to give the man a little credit. I don't know how he does it. So then they also had another announcement about the Indiana Jones movie, and that one I was kind of like, sure, I'll believe when I see it.
Well, that one's just been, in production purgatory for years, right?
Yeah. You
Steven
got your
Spielberg
like
dropped out.
nursing home Indiana Jones at this
Yeah.
point. I mean,
Yeah.
he'll be like 80 by the time it's filmed.
Well, I know, right? And I know that they've gone through multiple screenwriters, and I mean, the only thing that gives me hope about it is that James Mangold is involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I think he's such a good filmmaker, and I think he could really take this material and just make it just really sing, But again, fingers crossed. And then also it's not going to have there's not going to be another director firing or whatever, whatever happens at Lucasfilm.
Yeah. And so then they ended the Lucasfilm panel by announcing a Children of Blood and Bone adaptation. And I've actually read this book.
Cool.
Yeah, for book club.
What did you think?
I did enjoy it. It's got a lot of lore, and that's touch and go with me. You know how I am with like sci-fi and fantasy and lore. Yeah. But it's pretty interesting. They have this group. It's kind of like it's written by a Nigerian woman, I believe, and the land is kind of a African-inspired land. And they have the Diverners who are magic, and they all have white hair. And then they have the Christensen who are not magic, so it's kind of like Muggles, non-Muggles, and there's this quest that they go on and everything, and the diviners have become oppressed and enslaved, and I think it has a lot of potential to do some interesting things with it.
Well, cool. And Kathleen Kennedy said this was going to be a co-production with 20th Century Studios. So interesting, Yeah. Good for them. I'm glad they're trying something different.
I know, me too.
And let's hope for the best on that one. Can I mention a couple of other things before we leave Lucasfilm? I thought that Star Wars Visions series, with the anime, sounded cool, or like I thought it had potential. What did you think?
And which one was that? Remind me. There's so many.
It was called Star Wars Visions, and it's basically going to be, I think, a series of like short stories set in the Star Wars universe, but the medium that they're using is anime.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you remembered that. That is very exciting.
Yeah, I thought that one sounded really cool. And that was new to me. I don't think that was a D23 announcement.
I think there were some of these same artists had done, like, I heard people talking on Twitter, they'd done a YouTube video or something like that. And so then they kind of took that and kind of ran with it. They also announced The Bad Batch.
Right, which I think that I had heard that one announced before somewhere, and I can't remember where. But it's like a Clone Wars spinoff, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's see here. They have a mystery.
Oh, go ahead. No, after you.
No, they said, it says, let's see here, titled Visions, mystery thriller about the dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic, and then a series about
the Acolyte.
Oh yeah. That looked cool.
Which sounded really cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a C-3PO and R2-D2 series.
Yeah, a droid story.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's going to be a Lando Calrissian series too.
Yes, which I'm excited about, except if they have L3 in it, then I won't watch it.
Well, and they had, I thought, a really cool creative team announced. They didn't announce any actors. I don't know if it's going to be Donald Glover again or if they're going to bring somebody else in.
Yeah, probably not.
Play the role. And then they had also this one had been previously announced, but they just mentioned again that they're creating a Willow series for Disney Plus, and that Warwick Davis is back in the role, and I think Ron Howard is involved too. I don't know if he's directing it or executive producing or both. Or
one thing though about Disney, maybe not as much Lucasfilm compared to Marvel, but they seem to be able to keep their casts together pretty well. I mean, sometimes I'm sure they have contracts and stuff, but nevertheless, it just seems like the people who work for them, especially in Marvel, really like making movies for them.
Mm-hmm.
You have your Odd and Edward Norton and a few other things, but for the most part, it seems like people, we'll talk about She-Hulk, and Mark Ruffalo is eager to work with them again. It seems like the people that work with Disney really enjoy working for them.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah.
So as long as L3's not in the movie, I'll be fine. A droid story, that's the R2D2 C3PO one. And then the Willow remake.
Yep.
And I wasn't on when they announced that. What did they say?
Well, they just showed some clips from the original film, and if I'm not mistaken, she just was saying that the Warwick Davis was back, and that that Ron Howard was going to be involved too. And I can't remember exactly what Ron Howard's involvement is.
Yeah. Well, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't love the movie Willow. I mean, I don't know if that's sacrilegious. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. But I still think good for them that they're trying to bring back one of their popular properties and create a series around it. I think. Yeah.
That's one of my friends was pointing out that kind of the irony of this whole thing was that 90%, maybe that's a little high, 80% of the announcements are nostalgia properties. And what do we all kind of roll our eyes? Oh, Disney, another nostalgic property. And then, another remake, another reboot, another whatever. And why won't they do anything creative? And then as soon as they announce, oh, we're having an Obi-Wan series, which is totally true.
Yeah. And Lando covers his series, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so happy!" Right?
Yeah. So then there was the National Geographic panel, which I felt kind of bad for. Like to have to go after Star Wars.
I know. After Star Wars just dumps all this kind of, pretty cool content if you're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
And
I think the big names. I'm sure you were super excited about the whales. But I think
excited about one of this series, which we'll talk. I guess maybe kind of 1.5. Yeah. I'll tell you. You go first.
So their series Genius will move to Disney Plus for its 4th one, and they're going to be doing it on Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, it's cool.
So that should be interesting.
Yeah.
They're probably, because at least the Einstein one had some mature content. So they'll probably toning it down for this one. And then they have Limitless with Chris Hemsworth, and it's all about exploring the limits of the human body. Is that right? Is that what
That's the way I understood it. And then they had a sizzle reel to show it. I think that they're like putting him through all sorts of physical and athletic things that really push him to his limits. And it's something they kind of document it all and being very scientific about it.
If you want to get me to watch National Geographic, Chris Hemsworth.
That was what I was just like, next. It was America the Beautiful one. I thought sounded great.
Which one?
America the Beautiful.
Yeah. See, I'm just more like thirsty over here for Chris Hemsworth, and you're like,
like me.
A Real Bug's Life, that not for me. I'm not a bug person.
Yeah, like
and then Welcome to Earth, which
looked cool. What did you think of it?
Yeah, Will Smith.
Yeah, doing going to really interesting places around the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in nature.
It kind of made me wonder: are they not renewing? Maybe they can't in COVID due to the Jeff Goldblum show anymore because there's just too too hard to do a reality show like that anymore.
Yeah, I wonder about that. Yeah, if they're going to renew it or
with social distancing and all. That's probably true. But yeah, I mean, talk about somebody who obviously had a great experience working for Disney is Will Smith.
Yeah.
With Aladdin. So
yeah, I thought that the premise looked interesting in the trailer or sizzle reel or whatever you call it for this one. I thought looked cool to me. Also, they're doing a Jacques Cousteau documentary, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I just moved away from the page. Sorry, this thing here moves around a lot. Yeah. And then Cousteau, they called it. And that's the whale one. And I don't know why, I just had a few when I was watching. I'm like, oh, this is Sarah's favorite. He loves those nature
documentaries.
So, all right. So then they had the live action panel. Sorry, my screen keeps doing. Okay. Okay, no, I guess next they had, is that right?
Yeah, it was the Disney television studios. And they talked about some Disney branded live action series that are coming to the service, coming to Disney Plus.
Yes. So we've got the Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Yeah, with Emilio Estevez back in and also that nice woman from Gilmore Girls.
Lauren Graham.
Lauren Graham is in it too.
Yeah, I mean, that is another thing that even in the live action remakes, which I usually don't enjoy, they usually do a good job with casting. And certainly Marvel Studios has done an incredible job.
Well, their casting is pretty remarkable. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Tuner and Hooch.
Yeah, and and I thought both of these are clearly remakes of former Disney films, and I thought they're Disney made films. I think Turner and Hooch might have been a touchstone picture, but that's
Well, he even said that in the introduction.
Oh, that's right. They said that in the presentation. Yeah, but to me, that I don't mind these. We'll see if they're any good. But I just think that those sound fun.
Yeah, and I think it could be fun. It's Josh. What did they say? Josh Peck? Was that the name? I can't
remember his name, but he's like from a. Was it from a Nickelodeon show?
Yeah, I think it's
Josh and somebody or something.
Josh.
Yeah, it's him.
So that'll be fun for the young.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen Turner and Hooch.
Have you seen Turner and Hooch the movie?
No,
yeah, it's kind of a classic '90s comedy. I mean, I don't know if classic is maybe that's a little too generous, but I mean, it's definitely a '90s comedy.
And then we have 90s. And then we have Big Shot with John Stamos.
Yeah.
Coaching a private school's girls basketball team. And that's written by David E. Kelly, who's a famous showrunner, television showrunner thing. So that should be interesting. And we have Josh Gad and Luke Evans coming back for the Beauty and the Beast prequel.
That's the one. I almost sent you a text. It was just like, oh my gosh.
I was waiting for it. I mean,
please.
I will be glad to get some more Alan Menken music.
Yeah, and it could be fun. I mean,
they were probably the best part of that movie.
And if they give him a good script, it could be a lot of fun. But still, it's like anything. It just brought up all sorts of horrible memories about how much I hate that movie.
If you want to know more about our thoughts about Beauty and the Beast 2017, you can check out our ranking of 2017 movies.
and early in on the episode too.
Yeah, that's right. Our ranking.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Turner. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and then they announced the Swiss Family Robinson series, which I think could be really fun.
Which, yeah, same thing. It's like that's the kind of remake that I think works, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because it's live action. I'm just not so violently opposed to it. But it also sounds. I mean, they could also do an interesting take on it because it's probably almost like a reimagining in a lot of. My guess is and.
I think that's why Cinderella and Jungle Book were the best of them, because they just took it was just kind of like another retelling of the classic stories of that. It's just a different adaptation rather than a remake. And so I think that's what made them better. There's also Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which is
cool
series, and I know the fans of the books were not happy with that movie series.
Yeah,
so
the movie series it gives them another shot.
Yeah, so I think they'll be happy with that. And then the Mysterious Benedict Society.
Are you familiar with that book series, Rach?
Yes, there's another book that I read in book club.
Okay, your book club's on it.
Yeah, they really are. So, I've been in the book club for many years, so it helps that way. It's basically about this group of gifted children. There's and this whole kind of group that are kind of to defend the world, and a superhero story. So sorry, there's all these sirens and stuff.
You got some stuff going on in the neighborhood, huh?
No,
everybody's okay.
Anyway, so it has a lot of potential to be fun. The Mysteries.
I thought it looked fun. Was Tony Hale plays twins?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, that's right. Tony Hale. Then we got a bunch of Disney Plus original announcements.
And one quick thing, Ray. Sorry, I looked it up. Turner and Hooch, the film with Tom Hanks. It came out in 1989. So sorry, I was off a year. It's late 80s. Late 80s. My bad. I was kind of close. It was a long time ago, right? Sorry.
So Disney Plus, we're getting a lot of remakes. We have Hocus Pocus, or sequels. Hocus Pocus 2. I'm not a big fan of Hocus Pocus.
Me neither.
It's fine. I just think it's way overrated.
I think it just amazes me that it's become such a cult class. Such a favorite. I was going to try to rewatch it this Halloween, and I didn't. But maybe one of these years I will, because I think I tried. I think I watched it twice. I saw it in the theater, when it came out. I didn't like it then. So anyway,
I didn't either.
That's me.
It's when I watch it, I'm like, it's fine. But there's so many movies that I think are better.
Yeah.
With this, I just think something like Frankenweenie is way better. I think something like, if you want to go the schlocky route, I think something like Halloween Town movies are better.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, there's just tons of Mr. Boogedy from the 80s. That's better. There's so many things that are better than Hocus Pocus, but people love it. So what are you going to do? They have an entire fireworks show in Disney World dedicated to Hocus Pocus.
It's just like, go figure.
Yeah.
And I think, during the month of October, you could find it on TV somewhere every day.
Yeah, on Freeform.
It's on Freeform. And it's just like wow.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. So 3 Men and a Baby.
Yeah.
Is it a movie or a series?
It's I believe it's going to be a movie, but I could be wrong. I thought they said it was going to be a movie. Zac Efron is attached to it.
Yeah.
I figured a remake.
He's not going to sign on for a series.
Yeah.
But I was just a little confused. And
they didn't talk about the rest of the cast, or I don't think they said anything about the director.
That's a movie that does not hold up, in my opinion, at least.
I haven't seen it forever.
It's, I don't know, just the humor is just a lot of inappropriate jokes, and I don't know, like it's a very weird movie with like really over the top slapstick humor mixed in with like some darker stuff, like
Some
people
dark
trying to
stuff,
kidnap the baby and drugs and stuff like that. It's a really weird movie.
Yeah.
I think people maybe remember it with rose-colored glasses. It's not better than it is.
I think the last time I saw it, I mean, no, I maybe saw it on video or something after the fact, but I saw it in 1987 when it came out. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe this remake will. I mean, clearly they'll make it to be more appropriate for today's audience too.
Yeah. So we got a comment from Connor Johnson. He says, "My mother found some old pictures of my father back when they were dating, and taking a look back at them and becoming more and more like my father by the minute." Yeah, I think that happens to all of us. We all get that. We all realize, shoot, when you say certain things, you're like, I'm talking like my parents. I'm talking like my mother, my father. It happens to all of us. Don't worry. There was also talking about a remake of Cheaper by the Dozen. And so the thing about this is that I love the book Cheaper by the Dozen. And I loved it ever since I was a little girl. And the movie with Steve Martin is an adaptation in name only. It does not add aside from having 12 kids. That's the only similarity between the book and the movie. And so in my fantasies, they would be actually adapting the book, but I'm sure that's not what they're going to do. It'll be harmless. It'll be fine. But I love the book, and I love the original movies from the 1950s.
Yeah, the one with Clifton Webb and Myrna Loy, and
Yep. That's gonna have Gabrielle Union in it. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, another Night at the Museum movie.
Yeah, these movies I thought were interesting because they're going to be animated.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, they both Diary of a Wimpy Kid. They show just a really short clip, and it's 3D animation.
The whole thing is animated.
Well, they gave that impression, so we'll see. But it was actually it was a 3D animation of the Wimpy Kid. What he looks like in the as he's illustrated in the book.
Okay. Cool.
I thought that sounded like a really cool idea. Again, repurposing something that I thought was less than successful, originally as a film adaptation, and then trying to do something different. And then also that Night at the Museum, Rach, it's going to be animated.
Oh, see, I somehow missed that.
Yeah,
that they were going to animate it,
and I think it's a series.
Oh,
or perhaps a series of films. And I thought this maybe they said something about that with the Diary of the Wimpy Kid too, and again, I could be wrong.
Yeah,
so they also said, my apologies in advance.
There was a lot. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That they had there's going to be a series of sports films inspired by real life stories of Chris Paul, basketball player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Keenan Lowe, and I don't know those other two, but I love Disney sports movies, so that's exciting.
Yeah. I thought, hello, they had me at Disney sports movie. I was like, yes, please,
Although I
didn't like Safety, right?
No, and my friend,
I'm watching it this weekend.
Our friend Dave, down there, he loved it, but I thought the acting was really poor. I thought the script was very plotting. I was like, when is it going to be over?
Yeah.
But so people seem to have a different opinion on that. So you might enjoy it like he did. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to watch it this weekend. So
yeah, you have to let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Mm-hmm.
They also announced that Ice Age. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And it's it's that Buck Wild character, the Simon Pegg.
So I'm not super excited about that, but
that one I just groaned. But again, if they're just trying to create some content, and I know that some people really like,
I think they make a lot of money.
Yeah,
The thing about these kind of events is that it's really easy to get kind of caught up in the spectacle of it all, and you find yourself cheering for things, and you're like, "Why am I cheering for this? I'm not excited about this at all."
Yeah.
I remember when they had the D23, they had the clip for the new Planes movie that never ended up happening, and it was like, ah!
I know. I was like, what? Like, who's cheering for this movie?
Literally, once because you worked so hard to get into that panel, the big panel of D23, and so once you're in there, they could literally announce that I don't know, like everyone has to get a tattoo in the entire whatever.
Yeah, then everybody's
screaming
and they're thrilled. Like, yeah.
You can announce anything, and there would be a cheer at that moment. So, anyways, kind of you get a feel for that here. They announced the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers film, and it's going to have John Mulaney and Andy Samberg and Seth Rogen, I guess.
Yeah, Seth Rogen's going to play a role. I don't think they said the role that he's going to play.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's a live action CGI hybrid.
All kind of Chipmunks type thing.
And those early Smurfs movies. So
but hopefully it'll be more Paddington and less Chipmunks.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And then they announced the Disenchanted again. And we've had this a lot of times. They've announced this. It's just in pre-production. We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it at this point.
Yeah.
Because they've been announcing this for a long time. And then Whoopi Goldberg in Sister Act 3. I feel like that's another one they've talked about a lot. But we'll see. Because I like Sister Act 2.
I like the original Sister Act a lot. I wasn't a big fan of the second one, but a fun idea. I mean, again, if they can make it work and make it funny, let's hope.
There we go. Did you lose it for a second?
Hi, yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you great. Yeah.
All right.
It went dead for a minute, or a couple seconds.
All right, let's clip on through this. Okay, so then we had an announcement about the live action Pinocchio, and
which is going to Disney Plus, which again I feel better about, even though I don't think it should exist. But
yeah.
Robert Zemeckis directing, Tom Hanks as Geppetto.
Yeah, I wish I had more confidence, Robert Zemeckis.
I that's why I mean, if they're putting stuff that's not that great on Disney Plus, I don't mind it as much.
Yeah.
If it was going into the theater, and there's going to be all this marketing and all this other stuff around it, that really bumps me out extra.
Yeah, me too. And then Peter Pan and Wendy.
Peter Pan and Wendy, which sounds terrific, and that's going to Disney Plus.
Yeah. The only reason I'm excited about this, because I've had my fill of Peter Pan, is that I love David Lowery.
Yes, exactly. It's in really good hands. Yeah.
So, and then they said that they are going to release Jungle Cruise in the theaters.
Yeah.
And then they had they're going to have a Lion King prequel.
Which, learning that it was a prequel, it made me feel just a touch better.
Is we're going to get the tragic Scar backstory.
Yeah, kind of the Scar Mufasa, falling out.
Okay.
And directed by, I think, written possibly too by Barry Jenkins.
Yeah.
Right? So
at least it'll be something new, I guess. But I didn't really like those special effects for the lions. So we'll see.
I couldn't stand that Lion King remake, but what a surprise, right?
And then the Little Mermaid movie.
Yeah, they gave some more details on the cast.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think that movie, I just hope that it'll be one of the better ones. We'll see. I mean, I'm trusting Lin-Manuel and Alan Menken.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then Cruella is in theaters too. It looks like.
Oh yeah. I missed
Now,
that.
I don't know if you stayed tuned in. I stayed through the. I didn't have anywhere to go. I was home today, as every day, during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I stayed through the Q&A, or I kept it going. I was
Oh,
doing some
really?
other stuff. Yeah, and so one of these, and I mean, the only people that they were allowing to ask questions were, financial reporters, basically, But they were asking, I thought, very decent questions, very appropriate questions. One of them was just asking just for a little more clarification about the theatrical window. It really, I don't think he mentioned this to Warner Brothers, but he was just like, okay, you said what you're doing for Raya and the Last Dragon, which which I know we'll get to in a bit, but they're going to do that premiere access thing with it, as well as opening in theaters. And the other ones, they talked to them about, the presenters said that these were tentpole pictures, but they weren't just crystal clear, about what was the plan. And that was by design. Bob Chapek, the Disney president, was saying that it's because they just don't know. I mean, they want these to open up in theaters exclusively.
Yeah.
But right now the market is it's just so crazy, you just can't predict it. And so anyway, well, I guess we'll see what happens. But kudos to Disney. I think they're leaving their options open, and I don't blame them for it. How do you feel about that?
No, I mean, I agree. I that's the thing about the whole Warner Brothers announcement that I didn't really understand, is why they felt the need to announce for the whole year, especially when we literally have people signing up for the vaccine right now. So I don't know. It seemed a lot. Like, I could understand 6 months. I could understand 9 months even, but the whole year seemed a little much for me. So the fact that they're just doing Raya and then we're going to see how it goes is interesting. I mean, I think that it's interesting that they decided to do premiere access after they didn't do it for Soul. I mean, it makes a little more sense after I've seen Soul, because Soul,
I
don't know, is kind of more of an art house film than a blockbuster film, so it makes a little more sense to me. But I don't know, it was interesting to me that they decided to go that route.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. It's interesting to see how it works and how things progress next year. If we can get back in theaters safely, if large groups can get back in theaters safely.
Yeah. And so then we had a whole bunch of series that they announced. So just real quick, let's read through these. We have a Baymax series.
Yeah. So these are so cool to me because they're being produced by Walt Disney Animation Studios. And so I was just I was all for these. Like, yes, please. Well, so let's go through them, and I'm excited to hear your opinion.
Yeah. So who produces the current Baymax show, the current Bigger Six show?
I believe it's Disney Television Animation.
Television Studios. Okay. So that's interesting. I wonder what the difference is between all of that.
Well, I think it's just a different team. I wonder if they're going to still do the animation in house, or if it's going to get sent to Taiwan, or some other place to do the animation. I guess we'll see. But I believe though that the story work and the directors and the producers are work at Walt Disney Animation Studios proper.
Yeah, they're calling it a short form series.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're also going to have that from Zootopia.
Yeah. Which I thought the premise sounded really fun. Did you get to hear that, Rach?
It says on some of the background characters.
Yeah, so what it's going to be, they're calling it Zootopia Plus, and they're each episode is going to be about characters that we saw in the film, but that we didn't really get any story on.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have story on the sloths, a little more detail on the sloths, and on the Mr. Big's daughter.
Oh,
some stuff like that. And they said some other one. I'm trying to remember what it was, but anyway, I thought that would have a lot of potential. That sounded like that could be
fun. Flash,
really
Flash, 50-yard dash. And then they announced a Princess Tiana and a Moana
which made me
series.
so happy. What did you think?
Yeah, hey, I'm up for it. It's a long form. I don't even know the difference. Do you know the difference?
Well, I think that a long form means that like it's a series that could go like on for multiple seasons. That's how I interpreted it. But I could be wrong.
So they're getting their own long form musical comedy series. So hey, I love musicals. So
the Tiana one is set. Looks like it's set after after the Princess and the Frog movie ended. Like she's like in a restaurant in New Orleans. It looked like to me, but again, we'll see.
They have to if it's Princess Tiana.
Yeah.
Then that's the only time it makes sense. Okay, so then we have a show called Iwaju, sci-fi series in collaboration with Pan-African entertainment company Kujali, titled Iwaju. And then they announced their 60th film after We Get Raya and the Last Dragon, which will be 59th film. It's going to be Encanto, where they will go to Colombia for a musical with songs in both English and Spanish about a magical family who lives in a magical home, with songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun.
That sounds really fun. And so both of those are coming out next year. Raya is in March and Encanto is November of 2021. And I'm all in.
Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, now we have Pixar. So they announced about Soul coming to Disney Plus on December 25th. And that was kind of cute because you got Pete Docter and he's up there talking about his own movie.
Yeah, I like that too.
It was cute. And then they're going to have Doug Days from
so they're having like some little like series or kind of like interstitials or something, almost like that. I wondered, he compared him to the Forky Asks a Question.
Yeah.
So
and I love those.
Yeah, those are fantastic. So like just short, some shorts. But we have with Doug from Did you see? Oh, right. I mean, I know that's one of your favorites.
Yeah.
And I love it too. Did you see the sequence that they showed?
It
was
so cute.
It was really cute.
That was so cute.
Yeah.
And Carl's there.
Yeah.
And yes, and then they're going to have a Lightning McQueen and Mater with their own spinoff show where they take a road trip across the country, and that's be 2022.
And of course, I was all over that because I love the cars.
I mean, I was thinking about this because you have Hallmark making over 100 films a year, and they'll probably have way more next year. And between Hallmark and Disney Plus, which is the main kind of hubs that I cover of my content, I don't think I'm going to leave the house. I don't ever leave the house ever again. You have to come and find me. Hack your way here.
Exactly. So many shows.
That's my goal, is that I watch so much Hallmark and so much Disney Plus that they will be required to have a reality show about me watching.
That's so great.
So, all right. So then they talked about a long-form series called Win or Lose. It's about a middle school softball team in the week leading up to their championship game. Each episode is told from the perspective of a different character. So that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I thought that sounded cool.
I really like that they pretty much every division of every division of Disney is going TV.
Exactly. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Me too. And so then new film Luca, which we'd heard about before.
Yes.
Maybe we got a picture. And
they showed like a 30-second clip. I mean, our clip. There are little snippets of it.
So we'd heard about this before.
Yes.
But it's set in Italy, revolving around the friendship of two young boys during one memorable summer in 2021. And this is by the director of La Luna. and which I love. That's
So,
like,
and and he's got Italian. He's Italian, or has Italian, ancestors.
yeah. So this is like Pixar's
like a love letter.
Yeah, it's like Pixar's Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah.
For kids.
For kids, yeah.
And then they announced 2 new films, Turning Red, about a 13-year-old girl who turns into a giant red panda when she gets too excited. That looked so cute.
Yeah, I thought that sounded fantastic.
Like, I wanted to immediately save that image as my screensaver.
Yeah. It looks very appealing.
Yeah, by the director of the Dublin movie.
Yeah, Bow.
Yeah. And then Lightyear, getting back to, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah.
About the origin story of the character of Buzz Lightyear, who will be voiced by Chris Evans. So no Tim Allen, which was a little surprising to me. I don't know if they just figured that he's too old, maybe his voice sounds too old, or they want to keep a difference between this is the human version of the character versus the doll version of the character.
Yeah, that was my impression. And Chris Evans sent out a tweet to that effect too tonight. I read.
I mean, I hope it's not because Tim Allen's been like canceled because he's conservative.
No, I think it's just trying to differentiate, because again, how I see it, they're like creating this backstory, and for better or for worse, because backstory stuff kind of makes me crazy. But don't get me started on those Grinch movies. They create this backstory for the Grinch. It's like, please, he's the Grinch, But anyway, let's hope it's good. I'm optimistic.
At least it's kind of meta in the fact that it's not really a backstory about our Buzz.
Right.
It's just the character that inspired the doll.
Yeah.
So maybe that does make sense to change the voice.
Yeah.
So, all right. One last one, and it's a big one.
Or the action figure, I guess I should say.
Yeah. We have to talk about Marvel. Holy cow.
I
was just dying. I mean, I couldn't even tweet fast enough. He was going
so fast, and there was so much info. I think, after what we had already been through, like for the 2.5 hours, I think my jaw kind of dropped. I think, Kevin Feige's going to show up, and there's, he'll talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier or something. Holy cow! Yeah. On and on and on.
So about Black Widow, are they keeping the same date? It's
May 7th, and they did not mention that it was going to be like Disney Plus Premier Access or anything. Again, I think
so.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. But, I guess they didn't announce it in today's presentation.
I guess they're waiting to see how Raya does.
Yeah, and then how the world is.
Yeah. So they give the trailer for WandaVision. What do you think about this? Are you excited about it?
Well, I'm intrigued. I think it looks bonkers, but in a good way, and I think that's totally their intention, is to do something really unusual, and it just seems to me, and it just, I'm excited. I really am excited to watch it, and I'm so excited for the timing, because I'm already in mourning that The Mandalorian is ending, in a couple of weeks, and this starts up on January 15th. So it's like, okay, at least I'll have something to look forward to on a Friday night.
I'm super excited. It's basically somehow some weird, trippy, kind of sort of a rom-com, 1950s inspired
sitcom.
It looks really crazy
across the decades, Yeah.
But I love them. I love Scarlet Witch and Vision.
They're such good characters, and how cool that they got Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany to do it.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting that this ends up being the first series that ends up coming out, because Falcon and Winter Soldier was going to be, and then it ended up being this. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting how things work out, and this is going to feed directly in to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige says that they're really pushing the boundaries of Marvel storytelling. And so I guess this will probably also somewhat connect to Spider-Man 3 coming from Sony. We didn't get anything from Spider-Man 3. Were you surprised at all about that?
No, again, I just wasn't sure how much he was going to say since ultimately it's a Sony pick, but he at least mentioned it, that there was going to be they're going to be connected.
Are you excited about that? About Spider-Man 3 with the billion announcements?
Well, the way I see it, Rachel, and I could be wrong. I mean, clearly, we learned about Alfred Molina. Everything else right now is speculation. The way I understand it, there's been no formal announcement, and I think
they didn't formally announce Emma Stone and Kristen Dunst.
I don't think they did. I think it's all been rumor.
Oh, okay.
And it's probably true, but the fans are just, I think everybody Twitter just exploded with stuff that I just wasn't sure was accurate.
Yeah. I mean, there's part of it that kind of bums me out because I just feel like it feels like a desperate attempt to copy Into the Spider-Verse. And there's just a side of me. I realize this is in the comics. I realize that it's a thing, but I don't know. I just feel like that just another kind of example of live action trying to hone in on animation's turf. You won the Oscar, so it's like such a special movie. And also the fact that DC had just announced their own kind of multiverse type movie with their Flash movie, and the Ben Affleck was coming back and Jared Leto was coming back and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just like, I don't know. There's something about it that feels gimmicky to me. And kind of every new announcement I hear, I'm just kind of like, oh, but we'll see. I mean, so far, there's certainly Marvel movies that I've been pretty meh on. But for the most part, as a franchise, I really enjoy them. And I was not a big fan of Far From Home. So that's also maybe a little bit my hesitancy. But, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it ends up working out. It certainly will be interesting. Okay. Then we had Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We got a first look from that.
Yeah, and I think that's coming out in March, if I'm not mistaken, March of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe as WandaVision is wrapping up, then we'll have something to look forward to, which I'm all over.
Yeah, and it looks really good.
Yeah, it looks terrific.
Yeah, and so that'll be 6 episodes, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they showed the trailer for Loki, and
everybody, yeah, Loki looks really cool, and they turned it into like what did Kevin Feige say? It's gonna be kind of like a mystery.
Yeah, mystery thriller.
Yeah.
Yes, and
it looked cool.
It looked so fun. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I can't wait for Loki. Yeah. It looks so good.
Mm-hmm. So a crime thriller.
Yeah.
So that will be really great. And then we that was one of my highlights of the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got a trailer for our first look at What If.
Yeah, which is an animated series. And again, I think it's cool. That if they want to throw some animation in the mix, I'm all for it.
I loved that first look. It looked great.
It was cool. Yeah.
And the idea of Peggy Carter, what if she was Captain America, all these different what ifs, I think it's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. Then we found out more about Miss Marvel. And it's Iman Vellani is the actress, a teenager.
And they cast her, they were doing all their casting, like via Zoom or whatever, online.
Yeah.
It was during, the early parts of the pandemic, it sounded like. That was awesome.
And she seems charming. And
she looked great.
She's going to be in the new Captain Marvel too, which is so exciting.
Yeah. I didn't, as I'm not a huge comic book reader. I didn't really know. I mean, I knew that that Ms. Marvel was coming, and I believe I knew it was a comic book title. I didn't know anything about the character, so I was glad to get introduced to the character, and it sounds like it's really going to be cool.
So it's going to have grown-up Monica Rambeau and Tiona Paris, who was going to be in WandaVision. So there can be all kinds of connections all over the place in Captain Marvel 2. And they announced the director, Captain Marvel 2. And so that was all very exciting. And then we heard a little bit about Eternals. This was going to, I think they said.
Yeah, Eternals, I think, is coming out in November of 2021. And then also they gave us a little stuff about Shang-Chi or Shang.
Yeah.
She, I'm not sure exactly how Kevin Feige was pronouncing it.
Yeah.
And the Legend of the Ten Rings, which I think comes out in next summer too. I think it's like July, I think.
Yeah, and a little bit of the new Ant-Man movie.
Oh yeah,
that's exciting.
Which is exciting. You know, Peyton Reed's back in the director's seat for that, and then and they're all back. Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly and Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer. Yes, please.
Yeah, I know. And we got more information about She-Hulk series with Tatiana Maslany officially announced, and they announced that Tim Roth would be returning as Abomination and Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk.
Yeah.
So that's
cool. They were bringing back the Abomination. I thought that was really cool.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's a Nick Fury series called Secret Invasion, and I guess this was a very iconic run in the comic books.
In the comic books, yeah.
Civil War, there was Secret Invasion, there was some really iconic runs, and Endgame and Infinity War. And so that's exciting. And that will have Ben Mendelsohn back as Talon, Skrulls, a guy. And then an Ironheart series about Riri Williams, the creator of the most advanced suit of armor since Iron Man, with Dominic Thorne to star. And and all that will tie into the MCU. So I don't know, Kevin Feige is amazing. I don't know how he's going to keep this up, but there's also another one called Armor Wars with Don Cheadle as War Machine.
Yeah, so he's back as War Machine.
Yes.
Which yes, please. You know.
Oh, and I had to laugh at the Loki trailer. Did you see that Heimdall was there?
Yeah.
Because he was the one person that I thought he's never coming back. He's dead. Why in order for Idris Elba want to come back for this little tiny part that he got early in his career? And it's just kind of, no, he's back.
Yeah, it's so great.
Nobody dies in Marvel.
No.
Literally no one.
No. Thank goodness. What about, and there's that Hawkeye one too.
Yes.
So did we already talk, and if you already mentioned that, sorry.
No, I didn't. And they announced Haley Steinfeld.
Yes.
It's going to be in that. And I forget her character's name.
I do too. But I guess she like becomes Hawkeye or a Hawkeye in the comics, I think.
Kate Bishop, I want to say.
Yeah, is it Kate Bishop or?
See here. Kate Bishop. Yep.
Okay.
Ooh, that was a hard pull there. I can remember that. Okay, and then so many. There were so many. Moon Knight. He was just amazing. Moon Knight. They didn't announce Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, which I don't know if that was a rumor.
Yeah, see, I've been reading that as a rumor, but I don't know. Maybe he is, but you'd think that if it were official, he would have said it today.
I know. Yeah. And Christian Bale in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder. He's the bad dude in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, Gore the God Butcher. That sounds fun.
Which sounds really cool. And I think that starts filming early next year. Isn't that what they said? Anyway.
Mm-hmm. And then Blade is coming together.
Blade is still,
The only thing about that confuses me is that how do you have an R-rated film in a cinematic universe?
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to make that work.
Kind of update saying, here's what happened, but so the people that can't or choose not to see the R-rated film can find out what's going on, and they don't miss out on that part of the universe.
Yeah, or is this particular Blade? Are they going to make it
standalone
PG-13?
Right. Yeah. And then Catherine Newton is joining the rest of the Ant-Man crew. And so that's exciting. It's the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Mania. That's a pretty good title.
I thought it was a great title.
Yeah, so that makes me excited. And
some fun Guardians of the Galaxy news.
Oh yeah, so they're going to be doing a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Yeah, directed by. They're going to film it at the same time as they're filming Guardians 3. So James Gunn is back, is going to be involved in this holiday special too.
Well, you know that I am a fan of that because I love holiday specials. So yes. Bring it on.
I think it sounds really fun.
Yes. And so then they announced a new Fantastic Four film. That was pretty exciting.
Oh, exactly. I mean, just like to freak everybody out, because I think that's what everybody's been hoping for, right? Is that Kevin Feige would make it finally make a decent Fantastic Four film.
Yeah. Well, and then they announced John Watts is going to be the director, and I think that, I mean, even though I didn't like Far From Home very much, I still feel like his sensibilities may be a good fit for Fantastic Four. He has, he definitely went kind of a John Hughes kind of approach to Homecoming in particular, especially. And I feel like that approach, kind of an old-fashioned approach, could really be good for Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
One other thing too, Rachel, to mention is that he talked about Black Panther 2 and gave a very nice tribute to Chadwick Boseman and just announced that they're not recasting the character. And so the sequel will be about Wakanda, of course, but we'll have a different different protagonist.
If they'll find a way, because nobody is truly dead in MCU.
Yeah.
Bring back Michael Jordan's character.
Yeah.
Bring back Killmonger. Have him have a redemption arc. But there are other Black Panthers besides T'Challa. It's kind of like in the comics. You have Peter Parker. You have Miles Morales. You have the different Spider-Mans. You have different Black Panthers, evidently. So there's other characters they can use for that franchise.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's interesting. I think that was a big relief for a lot of people.
I think so too, and I appreciate that they took the time to address that.
Yeah, I think we covered everything. I think that's it.
I think we did too. Holy smokes! There's so much, and kudos to Disney. They are doubling down on this, and wow. Well, it's so cool. So much of this stuff, I didn't hear anything that was going to be beyond 2023. A lot of the stuff that they've announced, I don't think we're going to see it until maybe 2022. But still, how cool!
And I mean, again, you have to take all this with a grain of salt because they may have no control over when things close down, when things don't close down, things. I mean, they made it, as we said at the beginning, they made a ton of announcements at D23, just similar to this, that have never happened and never been made. They didn't say anything about any of the Muppets shows or anything with the Muppets.
Yeah.
So who knows if there's going to be anything
there. That.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. And like I said, nothing about High School Musical, nothing about Disney Channel at all.
Yeah, nothing about Disney Channel. ABC got mentioned a little bit in their ESPN discussion, just because ABC carries sports. But yeah, so who knows what's going to happen with these other
See, well, we did get a couple. Jennifer Vega, she says that she's so excited for all they announced. So yes, we are all
absolutely.
And then Aaron Johnson, he says, Cheaper by the Dozen is a great Steve Martin movie franchise. He is so hilarious dealing with all those kids in those films. It's fine for me. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It's perfectly serviceable, I guess. Kids comedy, I think. But I love the book. It's one of my favorites books. So I wish that it had been closer to the book. So there we go. That is all of our thoughts on all of these things. I can't wait to review them all. And please, if you're watching Disney, please give me screeners. Please. Please. So thank you very much. And thank you, Stanford, so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun to talk to you about it. I'm so glad we could compare notes on everything from today. What a day. What a really
wow. So how can people follow you and your content?
On Twitter, I'm at Stanford Clark, and I have a movie podcast and blog at moviespastandpresent.com.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And make sure you're following the Hallmarkies podcast. We have an epic interview that's posting tomorrow that everyone is going to want to listen to. I got the chance to interview the amazing Fran Drescher, and it was
Rachel.
Yes. And so make sure you're following the Hallmarkies podcast. You're not going to want to miss that interview. It was really fun.
What a score.
But it was incredible. And so check that out. And thanks again. And we also have our Patreon group, which we have watch-alongs and other fun stuff. We literally had it today. That's why I'm wearing my Santa hat. And then we have the merch store, which has tons of fun designs. Check that out. And thank you so much. We will talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.